What's up, everyone? Welcome to Nostalgia Bait Episode 2 Star Wars, where we're going to be talking about the history and going through things like all the relevant movies and games and possibly novels in the Star Wars universe. Also, starting with the creation and inspiration as to how Star Wars came to be from the man George Lucas himself. Obviously, not live, but videos where he's talking about Star Wars. So for right now, just gonna be here, just waiting for some people to roll in, see if anyone rolls in before we really get started here. So welcome in Red Shot Sherwood. Appreciate you being here, of course. So let's see what's going on. Okay, so let's see. Stream health is good. Stream settings are good. Analytics are good. Okay, nothing rolling in. Shall see what happens. Hmm. Oops. That's what I was looking for. Okay. Hope you're doing well today, Red Shot Sherwood, and hopefully some more people come by. Usually wait about a half hour to an hour, see what happens going on. If not, we'll get started. Probably took too long to put everything up, just probably no one's here. It's all good. I appreciate anyone who does show up. It's much appreciated. This time is the most valuable currency you can have. I think you know what? I think we'll just start off with this here. Star Wars sources and analogs. We'll go ahead with this. Okay. Share screen. Star Wars sources and analogs. Star Wars sources and analogs. So the Star Wars science fiction media franchise is acknowledged to have been inspired by many sources. These include Southern and Eastern Asian religions, Kyoung philosophy, classical mythology, Roman history, Gnosticism, Zoroastrianism, parts of the Abrahamic religions, Confucianism, Shinto, and Taoism, and countless cinematic precursors. Creator George Lucas stated, most of the spiritual reality in the movies is based on the synthesis of all religions, a synthesis through history, the way man has perceived the unknown and the great mystery, and tried to deal with that or dealing with that. Lucas has also said that chivalry, knighthood, paladinism, and related institutions in feudal societies inspired some concepts in the Star Wars movies, most notably by the Jedi Knights. The work on the mythologist Joseph Campbell, especially his book The Hero with a Thousand Faces, directly influenced Lucas and is what drove him to create the quote modern myth of Star Wars. The natural flow of energy known as the Force is believed to have originated from the concept of Chi, the all-pervading vital energy of the universe, which is also something they use in Naruto. They also use Chi as well. What's up, Jack? You miss old Star Wars. Everybody does. Everybody misses old Star Wars. So we're going to be talking about mostly that. I don't care for Disney Star Wars at all. I was okay with Mando season 1 and season 2, but anything besides that to me is absolute garbage. So, to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Star Wars, the History Channel premiered a 2-hour event covering the entire Star Wars saga entitled Star Wars: The Legacy Revealed, featuring interviews from a bunch of people nobody cares about except for Peter Jackson. Out of all these people here that they seem to name, right? They seem to name all these people. Nobody cares about any of them except for Peter Jackson because he's the only person out of any of these people who actually has anything to do with movies. And sticking to the lore and universe that he has been given, Peter Jackson was the one that stuck to the lore and continuity of Lord of the Rings. He also made a great King Kong movie. Acclaimed scholars, yeah, and others, the programs delve further into the heroic epic concept and the influences of mythology and other motives that were important in making Star Wars. You have a bunch of literature here. I'm not going to go too far into any of this stuff. Flash Gordon is a great example of probably something that he used. DC Comics and Jack Kirby. There's been a long debate among fans about the influence that comic book writer Jack Kirby had in the original Star Wars trilogy. I guess you could say that. Marvel Comics Lucas' original trilogy co-writer Lawrence Kasdan noted that the spin-offs were expanding the franchise into a more shared universe, kind of like what the expanded universe did, which was essentially be a sequel to Star Wars, which is what should be honestly acknowledged. The Disney Star Wars stuff is just garbage. Chris Taylor's comparison to Star Wars with Lord of the Rings, he compared Obi-Wan Kenobi to being Gandalf. Obi-Wan Kenobi, sacrificed himself on the Death Star, fighting Darth Vader, and guides Luke through the Force. Gandalf dying to save the Fellowship from Balrog, and then guides Frodo telepathically. Innocent protagonists R2 and 3PO carrying stolen data tapes. That was, of course, in the original New Hope movie, which was originally just called Star Wars, but had to have a subtitle because obviously, if you're going to make a sequel called Star Wars, you're going to need a subtitle, which they ended up with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, of course, respectively, for 1977 for A New Hope, 1980 for Empire, and 1983 for Return of the Jedi. Frodo and Sam carrying the One Ring, supported by the Fellowship. That's a pretty good comparison. I think these are pretty decent comparisons they've got here. The Hellish War Machine, the Death Star versus Mordor, enemy true stormtroopers and orcs, evil wizard Grand Moff Tarkin, which obviously Tarkin had no real powers besides being a Grand Moff. Grand general, I guess, and Saruman, and then of course the Dark Lord. You have Darth Vader versus Sauron, which I don't know. I think Sauron would absolutely destroy Vader. As much as I like Vader, he's my favorite character in Star Wars. I still think Sauron would destroy him. But we have this YouTube video here with Lucas kind of explaining how Star Wars got made. It's 4 minutes. We'll go through it. Appreciate everyone who's here. Appreciate it. You for spending your time here with me.
I finished American Graffiti. I was broke because I didn't get paid very much to do American Graffiti. It took me
You can obviously see this is pretty old.
2.5 years to do it. And so I
This is
was
13
desperate
years
to get
ago.
another job. When I had gotten the deal to do American Graffiti, the United Artists, who I made the first deal with to develop it, said, "You got any other ideas?" And I said, "Well, I've been thinking about kind of a space adventure, Saturday matinee serial kind of movie." And they said, "Okay, well, we'll do that too." So when I finished American Graffiti, the Universal was not going to release
I've never even seen American Graffiti, but I heard it's pretty good. Might have to check it out.
it. I was dead broke, and so I had to get a job just to live. And so
Anthony Buck says Star Wars used to be fun. Those were the days. Yeah, Star Wars used to be great. Star Wars used to constantly, it would seem, pump out a new video game every year since like I don't know the 90s. And me personally, I wasn't born when the original trilogy came out, but I did manage to visit a family or relatives house and watch it on VHS back when I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I grew up with the original. I grew up with the prequel trilogy in the theaters. Like, I saw all three prequel trilogy films in theaters because 1999, 2002, and 2005, respectively, for each film is kind of when I was a child. So, but yeah, Star Wars did used to be fun.
I had this deal to do this space film, and so I went to uh, United Artists with this idea of the space film, and they turned it down. And then I went to Universal for the idea of the space film, and they turned it down. And finally, in the process of us screening the film for anybody and everybody who would look at it in order to try to get it released, American Graffiti, Alan Ladd Jr. saw it, who was the head of 20th Century Fox, and he said, "I love this movie. You're very talented, and what do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying to get this space thing off the ground." Uh,
Yeah, so it's essentially seems like he's got American Graffiti done. He's trying to get it distributed, and then he comes up with a new idea of Star Wars, and he wants to essentially make this film. Which I'm glad that at least somebody saw the talent of this man because his original trilogy films are all great, timeless classics. You can go back and watch them even now, and they still hold up to this day.
and he said, "Okay, well, I'll fund the screenplay." And so I got the deal to do the screenplay, and it wasn't really until 6 months later that American Graffiti came out and was a hit. This was all done when I was starving, and the $20,000 I got to write the screenplay was like more money than I'd seen in 2 years. So I was very relieved that I could now sit back, write a screenplay, have a job. You know,
It's absolutely crazy how you can go from saying that 20 grand is a huge deal. I'm guessing back in like 1976 or 1975 to now with him, selling off Star Wars for $4 billion. It's crazy how far people come, and even to this day, even after he sold Star Wars, he's still able to go, yeah, I made a mistake. I sold it to people who mistreated and disrespected my franchise. And the fact that he only claims his 6 movies is a slap in the face to Disney that they will feel for the rest of their lives.
eat a decent meal and that sort of thing. And um, so later on, when American Graffiti came out and was this giant hit, then um, uh, I used that opportunity to um, secure my position with the film I had been working on. which was Star Wars. And I had made a deal with the studio. They expected me to come back and suddenly ask for more money because I was the hottest director in Hollywood, and I didn't do that. What I did is I was very concerned that by this time I had written.
That's because at the time then he was all about the passion project and not really about the money. He wanted to just get his product out there, and that seems to be the case here with George Lucas. He just wanted to get his project out there. He wasn't caring too much about the money, I'm guessing. So
A very long script, and I had been forced really to, rather than do a 6-hour, convince them to do a 6-hour movie, which I knew they weren't going to do. I came to the reality that I was going to have to cut this into 3 pieces and do the first 2 hours, and then hope somehow, some way, I'd get the other 4 hours made. But in order to do that, I sort of managed to get the sequel rights and licensing rights.
it's crazy how back then you had to work hard and you had to have a film succeed in order for you to get more work. Unlike today, where you can fail upwards in Hollywood, and back then, this man had the thought process of, I have to make sure that my product is great before I can be able to make more product that is great. It's crazy how that works.
And all the other things for the film so that I could make enough money or promote the film with the licensing and everything to make the film successful enough to where I could get the next one made, which is all I was worried about at that point, was to be able to get all 3 of these films made, which at the time seemed impossible. It just didn't seem like anybody would ever. Yeah, we expected the first film not to do that well, and so you're constantly on the defensive. You're constantly trying to say.
That's called being humble, by the way, which is another thing that people in current Hollywood aren't. They are not humble for the position that they have been put in by the customers, by the fans of properties that they decide to take over and bastardize.
Well, if this one doesn't do well, how am I going to get the next one made? And as it turned out, the film was successful. I didn't need that, but what that gave me was a chance at independence after Star Wars came out. And I looked at it and I said, uh, I have a chance now to become really independent from the system, the studio system. I don't have to go to them for the money. I don't have to go to them for permission. I don't have to do anything. I'm going to set myself up now using the profits from Star Wars to build a company completely.
Essentially, what I know it's random, but essentially what someone like Eric July did was use the profits that he made to build his own company. George Lucas, back then in the 70s, did the same thing. He took the profits and invested it back into a business, created his own studio called Lucasfilm. Crazy how that works. You can use your name in the the company that you built. But they like to, clown. People like to clown on Eric for calling it Ripperverse.
Completely independent up here in San Francisco. And that's what I did. That's why I stopped directing at that point.
It's absolutely awesome to hear from the great George Lucas about his experience with starting his own business and creating Star Wars. It always fascinates me, these types of things. But we got the origin story behind Star Wars, of course. A long time ago, in a galaxy not far away, before the Empire struck back and Jedi's returned. There was a young Padawan director named George Lucas who had a crazy idea for a space opera that almost never made it to screen. 1973, Lucas was living in a one-bedroom home in Mill Valley when he directed a low-budget film called American Graffiti. So that was in 1973, so 4 years before A New Hope came out, which was again called just Star Wars back then. Based loosely on his youth in Modesto, California, and his love for hot rod culture. Although it cost less than $1 million to produce, which is something that current Hollywood doesn't get either. They blow budget on so much useless crap. It became a blockbuster teen culture classic, earning $50 million and 5 Oscar nods, including Best Director. Emboldened by his early success with American Graffiti, Lucas was determined to follow through on an idea for a quote space opera. He and his partner Gary Kurtz had been newly around since 1971. The story was based on outer space adventures like those of Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers, stories Lucas adored as a young boy. growing up on his family's walnut farm. There was no shortage of sci-fi in Hollywood at the time, but most were dark, dystopian tales like Rollerball, Logan's Run, or THX 1138, Lucas's 1971 feature film debut. Lucas was determined to make a different kind of sci-fi movie, something fun that was aimed at 14 and 15-year-olds, males, because he said that specifically as well later on in interviews of recent years that it was targeted towards young boys, not young girls. But girls could have fun watching the films, which is yet another thing that is lost in current day. Quote, the reason I'm making Star Wars is that I want to give young people some sort of faraway exotic environment for their imaginations to run around in. He said in an interview, I have a strong feeling about interesting kids in space exploration. I want them to want it. I want them to get beyond the basic stupidities of the moment and think about colonizing Venus and Mars. And the only way it's going to happen is to have some dumb kid fantasize about it to get his ray gun, jump in his ship, and run off with his Wookiee in outer space. It's our only hope in a way. Great pun. The long road to a new hope. Lucas and Kurtz shopped around a 12-page treatment of Star Wars at various Hollywood studios. United Artists turned them down. So did Universal. However, 20th Century Fox, encouraged by the early buzz of graffiti, decided to give the duo some money to flesh out the script. But going from a rough outline to a final script would take years. In fact, early drafts of Star Wars would be unrecognizable to even diehard fans. Luke Skywalker is a grizzled old general. Han Solo is a frog-like alien. There's a main character named Kane Starkiller, and the dark side of the Force is called the Boken. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I've seen Luke Starkiller too, or Starkiller. It's kind of interesting reading those old books. Lucas struggled to rein in his space epic. The story was too dense, tonally imbalanced, and its elaborate scenes would be prohibitively expensive to shoot. His friend and mentor Francis Ford Coppola expressed misgivings about early drafts. Even Lucas's partner Kurtz described the second draft as gobbledygook. But with each round, the story improved. In the second draft, published by 1975, Luke Skywalker is a farm boy, not an older general, and Darth Vader is the menacing man in black we're familiar with today. The third draft introduced Obi-Wan Kenobi and played up the tension between Leia and Han Solo. Acknowledging that he had trouble writing dialogue, Lucas brought in help from writers Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, although the director rewrote most of their changes. For Lucas, Star Wars was finally coming into focus. On January 1st, 1976, he finished the fourth draft of the script, the one eventually used when production began in Tunisia on March 25th, 1976. Lucas and Kurtz originally budgeted $18 million for the film. Fox offered them $7.5 million. Eager to begin shooting, they took the offer, and the rest is history. Released in 1977, Star Wars ushered in a new era of movie making with its special effects, fantastical world building, and engrossing blend of myth and fairy tale. Although the final budget was $11 million, the film grossed more than $513 million worldwide during its original release, setting the stage for a franchise that would span decades and create generations of fans across the world, all connected by a common love for a galaxy far, far away, which was wrecked by a movie called The Last Jedi. So, I forgot. Yeah, I think a lot of people did. I had to remind people. It's fine. I never really expected many people to show up to these. More people show up to my, detractor live streams of these. But, things of that nature. We had things like, of course, Empire Strikes Back in 1980. We had Return of the Jedi in 1983. And then, of course, we dive into things like the Expanded Universe. Expanded Universe. So we had the first Star Wars spin-off material, Star Wars: The Adventures of Luke, from the Adventures of Luke Skywalker, the novelization of the 1977 film. Lucas later commissioned Alan Dean Foster, who is currently, of course, sick, and Disney didn't want to pay him royalties, which is a sad thing to say, who ghost wrote the novelization to write a sequel, which resulted in The Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Was that what that was? I was going to pick up that second issue too. Lucas originally intended to use as the basis for a potential low-budget sequel to Star Wars, but when it became one of the most successful films of all time, Lucas decided to write his own story for the film sequel, The Empire Strikes Back. Hey, I love Star Wars, so I'm here for it, says Chloe. Nice. While this was in production, Lucas approved the Star Wars Holiday Special in 1970, with which he had limited involvement. Yeah, people say the Hollywood Special and those Ewok movies were terrible. I never even saw this. I think this was the movie where Boba Fett was introduced. Was actually the Hollywood Special, if I remember correctly. Running from April 1977 to May of 1986, the Star Wars comic book series from Marvel Comics met with such strong sales that former Marvel editor-in-chief Jim Shooter credited with saving Marvel financially in 1977-1978. So it ended up being that Star Wars seemed to save Marvel Comics back in the 70s. That's news to me. The series became one of the industry's top-selling titles in 1979 and 80. 1980, an adaptation of the third theatrical film, Return of the Jedi, was released as a separate 4-issue limited series. I might have to look for that. I might have to look for those issues. 2 novel trilogies with original storylines were written: the Han Solo Adventures, which I do own, The Adventures of Lando Calrissian. I believe I own that book too. By L. Neil Smith. Daly also wrote radio dramatizations of the original trilogy. It was aired in 1981, 1983, and 1996, which 3 years later, Phantom Menace came out, which I just realized I'm not even sharing tabs because I'm bad at this. Holiday Special is truly a special kind of bad where you can find charm in just how bad it is. Nice. Yeah, the whole time I'm reading this whole thing and I'm not even sharing the screen. 2 spin-off television. Where am I? Okay, the first Star Wars electronic game was released in 1979 by Kenner, followed by a handful of Atari and Parker Brothers video games in the 1980s, mainly adaptations of film scenes. 2 spin-off television films focusing on the lives of the Ewoks introduced in Return of the Jedi, aired in 1984 and 1985. The furry creatures were also the subject of an American-Canadian animated television series produced by Nelvana, which ran for 2 seasons between 1985 and 1986. Wow, I'm learning about new Star Wars stuff as I'm doing this live stream. A sister series, Droids, features the further adventures of R2D2 and C3PO. In 1985, Marvel's comic Star Comics imprint published a bi-monthly Ewoks tie-in comic, which ran for 2 years, and in 1986 published an 8 issues Droid series. I did see this at Comic-Con. I did see 5 issues of this Droid series. I didn't bother buying it. The 2 series featured a crossover storyline. The Star Tours ride was opened at Disney Parks in 1987 to commemorate the saga's 10th anniversary. So, 10 years after the original movie came out, Star Tours was a thing. Star Tours is still a thing, which they have now incorporated sequel trilogy nonsense. So I refuse to ride it if I ever go. Following the series' 10th anniversary, the release of Star Wars spin-off media was largely halted. In 1987, the fan newsletter Bantha Tracks was absorbed by the official Lucasfilm magazine, which focused on the company's projects outside of Star Wars. Some fans feared the franchise had come to an end in the period between 1987 and 1991 were the dark times. So, meaning there was no Star Wars content for a very long time, for those 4 years at least, 87, 89, not 5 years. Until, of course, looks like when the Thrawn novels came out, Heir to the Empire. So 1981, the lack of new Star Wars material ended with the 1991 release of Timothy Zahn's novel Heir to the Empire. Heir to the Empire, which reached number 1 on the New York Times bestseller list, which nowadays means nothing when it comes to books, began what will become a large collection of works set before, between, and especially after the original films. Where is my drink? Okay, StarWars.com wrote in 2014 that the novel jump-started a publishing program that endures to this day and formalized the expanded universe, which I think in 2014 is when Disney decided to decanonize the expanded universe anyway. So it's not canon, as people would say. It's now people would consider it people's head canon now that it's no longer official canon, which sucks. So, It introduced, among others, popular characters at Grand Admiral Thrawn and Mara Jade, and was followed by the sequels Dark Force Rising and The Last Command, which I own all of these trilogies. The Thrawn trilogy is widely credited with revitalizing the Star Wars franchise. In The Secret History of Star Wars, Michael Kaminsky suggests this renewed interest was a factor in Lucas's decision to create the prequels, which nowadays are not nearly as hated as they used to be. They want to say that it's the reason why George Lucas sold Star Wars, but it was really that he wanted to live his life and take care of his daughter. Around the same time, the comics license was transferred to Dark Horse, who launched a number of series sets after the original trilogy, including the popular Dark Empire sequence by Tom Veitch and Cam Kennedy. The comic launched months after the first Thrawn novel and was a sequel to those novels. It notably resurrected the film characters Emperor Palpatine and Boba Fett, because we know Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit in Return of the Jedi. Song was critical of the concept of resurrecting Emperor Palpatine through clone bodies, feeling it undermined and contradicted the meaning of the ending of the Return of the Jedi. Now it's Legends canon, which I'm glad old material has its own label, but given that the new material sucks, well, you get the picture. Me personally, I managed to find a giant lot of 75 books in the expanded universe that do not have that Legends banner, because I don't really like the new covers too much. I don't like the fact that it has the word Legends on there. I'd rather have the old material with the old covers, and I'd rather not give Disney money in the process. The Jedi Prince series of young reader novels, released between 1992 and 1993, depicts Luke, Leia, and Han about a year after Return of the Jedi. The True Sepulchre depicts the immediate aftermath of the aforementioned film. In 1993, Dark Horse published Tales of the Jedi, expanding the fictional universe to the time of the Old Republic, approximately 4,000 years before the films. Yeah, I have some of the Tales of the Jedi books. I need to get some more of them. I gotta complete my set of Tales of the Jedi stuff. I have the True Sepulchre book. I do have some. I don't think I have Dark Empire books, but I definitely have some Tales of the Jedi that I just recently bought some more. And I do have the True Sepulchre book. The series spawned many other productions, including books for the comics, eventually Knights of the Old Republic RPGs, which I think Knights of the Old Republic 2 is probably the best Star Wars game ever made. The first one is very, very good, but 2 improves on it absolutely. In 1994, Lucas is licensing Alan Kosh and Sue Rostini discussed the relationship between Lucas's creations and the derivative works by other authors. Gospel or canon, as we refer to, includes the screenplays, the films, radio dramas, and novelizations, which I do own the novelization of the original trilogy as well. These works spin out of George Lucas's original stories. The rest are written by other writers. However, between us, we've read everything, and much of it is taken into account the overall continuity. The entire catalog of published works comprises a vast history of many offshoots, variations, and tangents, like any other well-developed mythology. Essentially saying that George Lucas considered all of the novels. He considered every single novel that came out as part of the canon. He does not consider anything from Disney as part of canon, because he's a very smart man. He's a very smart man to do so. And then 1996, Steve Perry novel Shadows of the Empire, another book that I do own. Set in the as yet unexplored time period between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's part of the multimedia campaign that also includes a comic book series and video game. Great game, by the way. The multimedia project was largely meant to reinvigorate the franchise ahead of the prequel trilogy, along with 1997 special editions, which were not great. Han shot first. We all know this already. And Sebastian Stan is Anakin Skywalker at the end of Return of the Jedi. KOTOR's great shape to switchboard KOTOR 2 has a bug that literally makes the game unfinishable. They were planning to fix it, that'd be fine, but it seems they jumped ship. I thought they fixed that bug at one point. I've heard that they fixed that bug. I heard about that bug. Could have sworn they fixed that one. I'm almost certain they fixed that one. Because I remember watching Spawn Wave, and I'm pretty sure I remember him talking about them fixing that breaking bug in that game. That's the end of that. Where are we at? Lucas incorporated elements of the expanded universe into the special editions. For example, Coruscant, the New Republic capital planet created by Zahn in the Thrawn trilogy, makes its film debut in the special edition of Return of the Jedi before being featured more heavily in the prequel trilogy. An eponymous comic book series, later subtitled Republic, launched in 1998 and introduced Ki-Adi-Mundi ahead of his appearance in the films. In 1999, Star Wars book publishing moved from Bantam Spectre to Del Rey Books. A new series set between 25 and 30 years after the original films, A New Jedi Order, I have all of those too. Was written by multiple authors and introduced a new threat. The Yusong Fong, a powerful alien race attempting to invade and conquer the entire galaxy, which they tried doing that with Light of the Jedi and the High Republic, and the High Republic is dead. I don't believe they have. All I know is that they jump shipped on adding the restored content for KOTOR 2 and presumably that fixed with it. Well, it's a good thing that the PC versions have all that extra content, the restored content. I don't believe that companies should be taking content out of games and then releasing it after the fact. I always thought that was a crappy practice and should never happen. I think they shouldn't be doing that at all. The first novel in the series, R.A. Salvatore's Vector Prime, which I also have, killed off popular character Chewbacca. Wow, didn't know that. It's a spoiler for me. Because I got to read all these books. There's a lot of them. Before 1999, the bulk of the EU storytelling explored the time periods either after Return of the Jedi or long before New Hope, e.g., Tales of the Jedi series. The time period shortly before the original trilogy, including the rise of the Galactic Empire and the personal histories of Anakin Skywalker and Emperor Palpatine, were left open for Lucas to develop in the form of the prequel trilogy, which began in 1999 with the Episode 1 Phantom Menace. I'm a broke bee on console. Have I played Star Wars: Republic Commando? Yes. I have to finish that game. I'm pretty sure I'm very close to the end of that game. I just haven't finished it. I did finish Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, and I've planned on finishing Republic Commando and playing Jedi Academy and Jedi Outcast. Out of all the Star Wars games that came out, I finished KOTOR, KOTOR 2, Battlefront 2, the EA one. I finished Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, which I think are both. Oh yeah, and I also completed Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2, which are all fantastic games. What's up, Babe Chewbacca? What's going, buddy? The character in Ali Sakura, introduced in 2000, the Republic Comics book series appears in Episode 2 Attack of the Clones in 2002. The 2003 animated series Clone Wars and various spin-off books, comics, and video games explore the titular conflict in more detail leading up to Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I hear the novelization of Revenge of the Sith is actually very good. Still need Imperial Commando ASAP. Don't know what that is. Looking forward to the Dark Forces remaster personally. I bought a lot of the Star Wars stuff on Steam. It's super cheap. It's like a couple bucks. I got a whole bunch of Star Wars games. Ahead of the film's release, Lucas announced a 3D continuation. I was going to say continuation of Clone Wars, which was released as an animated film, The Clone Wars, and a television series of the same name, which the original Clone Wars show was different. That was what this one was. And then, no, this one goes with this. They had another one as well. They had a different Clone Wars series, which always confuses the heck out of me. So yeah, I got Dark Forces, I got Dark Forces 2, Mysteries of the Sith, Jedi Outcast, Jedi Academy, and then I have the MMO the Old Republic on here on my Steam account. And then on my Xbox, I have everything else. I have KOTOR 2, 1 and 2, Republic Commando. I think I have Outcast Academy. I also have Revenge of the Sith as well because it's backwards compatible. These reveal that Anakin had a Padawan learner, Ahsoka Tano, during this period. Various characters seen only briefly in the films or in other spin-off material are featured in more in depth. At this time, Lucas denied any plans to ever make a sequel trilogy, which is crazy that Anakin could have a apprentice and then they never show her in the film. They never show her in the films. Of course, they decide that she is a survivor of Order 66, which nowadays Order 66 is there's just plenty of them now. There's plenty of plenty of survivors of Order 66 nowadays because Disney doesn't give a crap about continuity or lore, anything lore breaking. They just decide, yeah, we're gonna say that 1,000 people survive Order 66 and just essentially take out what made Order 66 so crazy. As of 2004, over 1,100 Star Wars titles have been published, including novels, comics, nonfiction, magazines. Then president of Lucas Licensing, Howard Rothman, estimated that there were more than 65 million Star Wars books in print. We also have the Holocron, which is always used as a database for Star Wars and stuff inside of the TV shows, I guess the games too. So you have all these different types of canon that you have to try to follow. You got George Lucas canon, you got television canon, you got continuity with expanding universe and Force Unleashed. You have your secondary canon. You have, I guess, a detour canon. I don't know what that is, and then you have non-canon, which is like Soul Calibur 4, I guess, and Star Wars Tales comic anthology. Like, I don't. And then of course, Disney acquired it in 2012 and 2014. They decanonized the EU. So it's right here. 2014 announcement. Lucasfilm explained that the only pre-existing works to be considered canonical within the franchise would be the primary episodic films in the 2008 Clone Wars film and TV series. Because, of course, they wanted to make their own, the High Republic was a failure. They decided to put the Legends banner on their reprints, which this looks ugly as heck, and that's why I don't have any of that stuff. All their films were boring and lore breaking, and I don't care about any of them, not even Rogue One. People say Rogue One's great, and yet the only thing people talk about Rogue One is the hallway scene with Vader. It's the only good part of the movie. I can excuse Ahsoka not being mentioned in Revenge. There was a lot going on in the movie that they kind of had to move along. I dislike that Ahsoka survived Order 66. Yeah, so now in Star Wars canon, Ahsoka survived Order 66. Cal Kestis survived Order 66. Baylan survived Order 66. Reva survived Order 66, which just makes Luke less valuable in the Star Wars universe, which is what they want, which is what Disney wants essentially to do, is make him less valuable. Rogue One was pretty mid, says Britshot. Yeah, I did not care for Rogue One. I tried to watch it 2 times. I fell asleep watching Rogue One because it's so boring. It's a boring film. And I finally got through it on my 3rd watch through, and I was like, yeah, it's exactly what I thought. Boring. And then they decided to make a TV series based on a character that is deleted. You know how his story ends, and yet they decided to make a series around him. So then nobody cared about the character because it wasn't interesting. And then when they finally do make a series around a character that people like, and they make him basically say they made it so that basically he's the reason why Alderaan blew up. He could have stopped Anakin from, essentially blowing up Alderaan, and didn't happen. So, but yeah, of course they had the Lucas Arts adventure games, of course. You had your initial titles. You had Indiana Jones and Sam and Max, and Sam and Max is still going. I think Day of the Tentacle, I think got a remaster. Monkey Island games got remasters. I think it was Escape from Monkey Island got remastered, but you know, me personally, I like I said, I used to watch the VHSs of the original trilogy at a relative's house almost every summer since I was little. I saw the Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith all in theaters when I was younger. I don't mind the prequel trilogy myself. I rewatched Phantom Menace. Yes, I understand the bits about Jar Jar Binks. I understand why people didn't like Jar Jar Binks as a character, and I understand why they didn't like him in the film. But other than that, I really didn't mind the film at all. Now, will I ever say that Phantom Menace is one of my favorites? Absolutely not. Of course, we'll go to Empire Strikes Back. Will always be, in my opinion, the best one of the entire 6 films because sequel trilogy, I've completely wiped them out of my brain and they don't exist to me. So I only got into PS2 Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. I had no idea about the other PS2 Star Wars games. Yeah, so they had for PS2 Star Wars games, they had Jango Fett. Oh, they had Bounty Hunter. They had Jedi Power Battles for PS1, which was very good. You got to play as Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Shaak Ti, Kit Fisto, and I think Plo Koon, and I think maybe Alia Sakura. So you got to play as a lot, and it was pretty cool. I'm pretty sure Revenge of the Sith also came out for PS2. So I liked Rogue One. While I definitely agree with the boring complaints like the Andor series, the only story that was actually thought out. Bare minimum, I know that's how low the bar is. Yeah, pretty much. And then with the Ahsoka series out, they didn't really move the needle on anything. Like I said, for me personally, I think Mandalorian season 1 and 2 were good. Season 1 I thought was way better. Season 2 had all the cameos, which were cool, like Boba Fett, but they made Boba Fett, of course, look like a chump, and I didn't like that. The Luke Skywalker reveal was basically for nothing because they ended up basically not making that matter, because of course it still leads to the garbage Disney movies. But yeah, things like that. But when you go through the list of Star Wars games, right? When you go through the entire list of Star Wars games, you start to notice something that's crazy about it. You start to notice that there were a lot more there were a lot more Star Wars games back then, and the consistency of how they came out was absolutely crazy, and they was just banger after banger after banger, stuff like that. I love knowing who created the Death Star and what the true design could do. The Fatal Flaw made sense. Yeah, the Fatal Flaw definitely made sense to the story. Of course, nowadays people like to say that Luke Skywalker was, of course, a Mary Sue. They say people like to be out there saying that Anakin Skywalker was a Mary Sue, even though Anakin Skywalker's anger made it so that he could not become a Jedi Master because he was flawed in that way. He was flawed in the fact that he had massive emotions, and you had to have basically no emotions to become a Jedi Master. Yeah, getting the exclusive rights was a mistake. Yeah. So the thing is with Battlefront 1 was okay. Battlefront 2 was better, was way better. I thought the storyline was pretty meh. The multiplayer was great. I didn't like the fact, of course, that they had the microtransactions and stuff like that in the game. Personally, it didn't really affect me. If you were skilled at the game, that really didn't matter to you, but I still thought it was dumb, and I'm glad people called it out. But Battlefront 2 is actually in a great state. It's probably one of the better multiplayer games out there right now compared to like a Call of Duty for sure. But my suggestion to anybody who wants to play Star Wars games, I would say go for Shadows of the Empire on the 64. Super Star Wars is good. Republic Commando, KOTOR 1, KOTOR 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, Jedi Outcast, things like that. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's just crazy to me these things that happen. Personally, I can't speak to the EU because I haven't really read them. I hear they're very good. I have a lot of the trilogies. I just haven't gotten around to reading them. I'm mostly doing this live stream specifically for the games and specifically for the original and the prequel trilogy because I don't really care much about the sequels at all. Like I said, EA Battlefront 1 was meh. EA Battlefront 2 was so bad, politicians were about to get involved. But yeah, nowadays EA Battlefront 2 is pretty good. I even find it fun is to kill people with PvA. Oof. See, I didn't. Yeah, I like my Vader. I like my not my pal. I like Vader. Vader's just awesome in Battlefront 2, and Luke Skywalker is my other favorite hero. I did not know you could do that in that game, but yeah, I do remember when the politicians, yeah, definitely don't want to get government involved in that at all. You definitely won't want to get that, no, because that's no good. They were getting to get involved with the loot boxes and the pay to win microtransactions. Nah, you don't want politicians involved in anything. So taxation is theft for sure. But you know, so if we go through the list of games here, so we started with the episode related titles. You got the series titles. You got all these Empire War standalone titles. You got a bunch of different games that you can basically go through. BB-8's attack output is wild, literal aura of death. That's a little OP, I guess. Like it's been a while since I played, so I don't know what they did. I know they added the characters. I remember the update with all the sequel characters, which okay. Finn was decent. Ray was just a little OP, but what can you expect when you make a Mary Sue character in Ray? Ray Skywalker. So this will be a list of Star Wars video games. So yeah, like I said, you got your episodic ones. You see, you got the arcade. The arcade Star Wars games were fun. It was the one. It was I think it was this one that I liked. I forgot which one it was. And it had the single joystick that you moved around and you shot in the space. Like that one was cool. Yeah, so Super Star Wars for the SNES was awesome. Of course, obviously the Famicom was, the Japanese version of the NES. Damn. Yeah, you had your Star Wars arcade. You had Empire Strikes Back, Super Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, which I never played those. I did not play any. Like I didn't really play the licensed ones. I didn't really play the movie licensed ones, except for like the arcade one here. But I didn't play Race. I played Jedi Power Battle, so that was the one. It was on the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, and the Game Boy. I played it on the Dreamcast. So yeah, Jedi Power Battles was awesome. Like that was an awesome game. Time to play the certified classic Star Wars game, Star Wars Connect. Oh no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Oh yeah, I forgot about Starfighter and Obi-Wan. But yeah, this game was fantastic. The fact that you got to play with different Jedi, that was cool. So yeah, you got to play as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Mace Windu, Anigalia, and Plo Koon, with the latter two being unavailable in the Game Boy Advance version. That sucks. So yeah, see here it is. You see, Darth Maul and Ki-Adi-Mundi are also unlockable. The latter is exclusive to the Dreamcast version, so that's why I said Dreamcast stuff. So yeah, up to 4 additional unlockable characters: Queen Amidala and Captain Panaka. And then you get Darth Maul and Ki-Adi-Mundi. So you get more characters to unlock. The game loosely follows the plot of Phantom Menace and begins as two Jedi are sent to negotiate an agreement with the Corrupt Trade Commission and the royal government of Naboo. So yeah, the Dreamcast version, like I said, I knew was the best version. That's the version I had. So That game was pretty great. Starfighter, I've yet to play that one. I have that on the Xbox. Obi-Wan isn't backwards compatible, so I never got to play that one. Jedi Starfighter, also on the Xbox, backwards compatible. Clone Wars, I haven't gotten around to it either. What else we got? Yeah, Revenge of the Sith, I started playing that one. That one's pretty decent. But to be real though, the True Hood classic is Rogue Squadron. Kind of tapped into that with Squadrons, but wasn't quite the same for me. I think those are the GameCube ones, I believe. And you have X-Wing, you have TIE Fighter, which I think TIE Fighter and X-Wing was they made Star Wars Rogue Squadron, I think was the one, or Squadron that EA made, which was supposed to be that one. Basically supposed to be X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was what it's supposed to be. And that, yeah. Oh, on the 64. Okay, so that's a 64. It's probably down here somewhere. What's up, LG? Never big into Star Wars, but I can see the appeal. Yeah, it's a massive expanding universe. They have so many characters and so many timelines and so many different things going on. PSP Star Wars Squadron played the poof out of it. Yeah, I played the Battlefront for the PSP. That was fun. So then you have Rebel Assault. Yeah, so Dark Forces 2, which is where you're introduced to I think this character here that people talk about. There's Jedi Outcast, where you could create your own character. Same thing with Jedi Academy. So here it is, Rogue Squadron. So yeah, I remember Rogue Squadron. Yeah, Rogue Squadron was cool. But I remember they had 2 and 3 on the GameCube. I remember that. Yeah, Racer, which I never played. Starfighter, yeah, like I said. And of course we had the Great Knights of the Old Republic. Dark Forces Remaster. I didn't even know that was even a thing. I didn't know that was gonna even be a thing. I knew that they had the KOTOR remake, which I can say it's never gonna see the light of day, and I hope it never sees the light of day. It does not need to be remade. I'll take a remaster of the original without changing anything, but now they're gonna make they'll probably make freaking they'd probably make Revit non-binary. I do remember hearing about Rogue Squadron in the 64. Yeah, saw what is it? Shadows of the Empire is really good on the 64 as well. Like I said, Rogue Squadron or Renegade Squadron. Okay. Dark Forces remaster hype. It's coming soon. Trailer's up. I haven't seen a trailer. I do want to look at the trailer for the extended teaser trailer they just released for Final Fantasy 14 Dawn trailer, whatever it's called. But yeah, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and Knights of the Old Republic 2, I highly recommend both of them if you're a big RPG, like tactical turn-based RPG. Like I highly recommend both of those. And then of course they have like I said, they have the MMO, which I never really played. I hear it's pretty good. And then of course they have the remake, like I said, I hope it never comes to see the light of day. Then you get down to Battlefront 2, got Battlefront Renegade Squadron. That's the one I played too. This one, Renegade Squadron, was the one I played. That was when I had a basically a hacked PSP and I was playing the heck out of this game. So I think that I'm pretty sure the next episode of this will be Cowboy Bebop, and then I might push out Castlevania to episode 7, and then I might bump up Street Fighter so that I could get LG on here. And I might even bump out Cowboy Bebop and see if I can get Inuyasha going, but I kind of want to do Cowboy Bebop next. So yeah, the Battlefront. So 2015 and 2017. So we went from basically we went from every single year basically coming out with a brand new Star Wars game to every like other year to every 2 years. So yeah, 2 years here. Force Unleashed 2008, Force Unleashed on 2. Force Unleashed 1 is way better. LG Rogue Squadron truly was a hype game. Rogue Squadron, Star Fox, Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing were the big and 64 games I played. Anything else I really played. Oh, and everything else I never really played. Can't type today. Talking about shows, I heard there was a Yuuzhan Vong was going to be an episode of Clone Wars. Well, Clone Wars is finished. I know this 8th season came out, but yeah. So out of all, I'd say out of all the Star Wars games that I have played, Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Republic Commando, I can recommend Force Unleashed. I can recommend Fallen Order and Survivor. I can recommend both of them for sure. So yeah, and I can recommend Shadows of the Empire. Shadows of the Empire for the 64 was really good too. Republic Commando, very good. It's on Windows, on Switch, it's on PlayStation 4. Like it's on modern consoles. You can play it. For us, for the people on Xbox, you can of course play it via backwards compatibility with the disc, or you can buy it digitally if you want. Yeah. Then of course, yeah, here it is, Squadrons. Yeah, I didn't really care for it, and then Outlaws. I didn't really care for it either. And of course, they have the silly VR titles like Vader Immortal and Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, which Galaxy's Edge is a failure. So I don't know why they didn't just make it on the original trilogy, not the sequels. But yeah, there's a lot of games in this series. Oh yeah, and Jedi Power Battles is awesome. Force Unleashed 2 is really a prime example of why games need more time to cook. It wasn't broken, it just couldn't do anything interesting because it had to move on. Yeah, I didn't mind Force Unleashed 2. I just think the first one's better. I think the first one is leagues better. I think it's absolutely nuts. But yeah, Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Yeah, Kyle Katarn is the name of the person that people like to talk about. They thought he was going to be in Ahsoka, so they thought he was going to be in Ahsoka. I heard this one's really good. The expanded universe is very good. Star Wars, like in general, minus Disney, it's very good. That's the only problem nowadays, though, LG, with Star Wars is that the continuity and the canon, the lore of Star Wars is all but dead. Actually, it is dead because they can't. There's not much they can do. There's not much they can do with it. And then trying to make a Ray movie. No one cares about a Ray movie. No one gives a crap about a Ray movie. Jedi Knight games were ace. Says Shadowjack. Welcome in. So I don't know how much more I could talk about this. Really, I kind of went through everything pretty quickly in an hour. But personally, my experiences, I never experienced Star Wars games until recent years because I never had an original Xbox. I had a PS2 at the time. I was a big RPG guy, so there isn't really much more I think I could talk about Star Wars because I'm not really including sequel stuff, and I can't really talk much on EU stuff. Funny thing about Force Unleashed 2, unlike the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, was they would just fly past the Dagobah section. It's actually a level in the PS2 Wii version. So I played the 360 version, so I wouldn't have known that. What's up, Shadow Jack? Yeah, I wouldn't have known that if I would have known that if I played the PS2 or Wii versions. I played the 360 versions. I still own both of those on physical disc. So, you know, like it would have been good if I had like a guess maybe, but it's all good. I'll gladly answer anything about Star Wars related stuff if anyone wants to ask. But, you know, like I said, kind of went through the a little bit of the history of how George Lucas brought about Star Wars into being reality and what he says about it now. Have you heard of the Yuz Hong Vong and Legends? I have not. I've heard of Thrawn. I've heard of Mara Jade. I've heard of Han Solo's kids. I forgot their names. Oh, Ben Solo. Yeah, Ben Solo was actually Jaina Solo was another one. It was the other one. Jaina Solo and Ben Solo were the two Solo kids, brother and sisters from Han and Leia. I don't know the names of Luke and Mara Jade's kids. I know that Mara Jade became. I know that Mara Jade became like she was turning to the dark side at one point, and Luke brought her back, similar to a Vader situation. Just yeah, Christopher Lee played a great Count Dooku, that's for sure. Like Christopher Lee's performance as Count Dooku made me like Count Dooku. It's kind of interesting how I like the villains more than I like the heroes. Although Luke Skywalker is great, I have a figure of him over there, but you know things of that nature. I know that when we get into the when I get into like the Street Fighter and the fighting game episodes and Castlevania episodes, I'll probably have more to talk about. Yeah, Christopher Lee Rip. Yeah, Saruman and Saruman and Count Dooku himself. We must protect Ian McKellen. Ian McKellen. I am in the gotta protect Ian McDermott. Ian McDermott was the one I meant to say was Ian McDermott. Ian McDermott is the one that played Emperor Palpatine. Although I don't think he should have taken a role in the sequels, of course, because I think the whole concept of him coming back was silly. Also, we got a moment friendly FU to the narrative that women have to ask permission to be a Star Wars fan. Both my parents were huge Star Wars nerds in the 80s, says Chloe. Yeah, so the thing about that is the constant, the constant parroting, pandering to females, to a female audience, right? More than likely, people who were women who were fans of Star Wars liked the characters of Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia. You didn't need to pander it towards young girls. It was it was made for 14 and 15-year-old young boys, and girls just happened to like it because it was cool. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And by you, I mean Disney. Disney is just absolutely stupid when it comes to this type of thing. They cannot understand even the simple basic things like women like to look at hot women too. It's not just men that like to look at hot women. Women like to look at hot women too. In fact, it was my mother that introduced my father to the series, and of course, being their daughter, I grew up a massive Star Wars fan. They didn't have to force fit it, yeah, right. They didn't have to force fit it in. So yeah, if you're feeling up to it, LG, I might just push up the Street Fighter episode to episode 4 rather than leaving it at episode 7 because I kind of have an idea of what the episodes are going to be of this. It was Final Fantasy, of course. Then it was going to be Star Wars. Then it's like Cowboy Bebop. Then it's going to be it would have been Castlevania, and then it probably would have been Alien. Are we talking about Spaceballs? No, Spaceballs is funny. Spaceballs, we can talk about that. Spaceballs was the parody, of course, to Star Wars, and I think it was absolutely hilarious, filmed by Mel Brooks. And the names that they had for the different characters were great. We can talk about that. Share this tab, share screen. Let's add that in. Spaceballs. We could definitely do that. I didn't even know Spaceballs had an animated series. Again, learning new stuff every day. Spaceballs was fantastic. Spaceballs did it more correctly than Star Wars. I mean, we can even go further and talk about freaking Family Guy doing the Blue Harvest and and something Dark Side as well. Random new Mario game is good. I'm loving it. Apparently so. Spaceballs the animated series was apparently a thing on G4. Yeah, Spaceballs is a parody of Star Wars. It's a complete parody of the original trilogy. Neither did I. Yeah, Spaceballs is a parody of the original trilogy of Star Wars. Super Mario Brothers Wonder is really good. I was playing that last night on stream for a little bit. I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. What? But yeah, it says it here. It says Spaceballs is a 1987 American space opera parody film co-written, produced, and directed by Mel Brooks. It is primarily a parody of the original Star Wars trilogy, but also parodies other sci-fi films and popular franchises, including Star Trek, Alien, The Wizard of Oz, 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes, and Transformers. Now Star Wars is a parody of Spaceballs, says Shadowjack. Jabba the Hutt in Spaceballs is called Pizza the Hut, and he's literally pizza sauce, cheese, and pepperoni. Evil will always triumph over good because good is dumb. Let me know when you play it again so we can play. I'll probably be playing it later on today. Sorry, I love this movie. It's cool. No problem. Yeah. So it's crazy to made its budget back. Oh, the Schwartz thing. Okay, that comes from this movie. Spaceballs breaks the fourth wall by going through a VHS copy of the film to locate the Eagle Five's whereabouts. Helmet disguises himself as Roland to lure Vespa and Dot out of the cave. As Lone Star and Barf prepare to chase Helmet, Yogurt gives Lone Star a ring that he could use to channel the Schwartz. Really good movie. Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I've seen it. I may have to watch it. And now that Twitch has decided to comb the desert. Now that Twitch has decided that they want to allow people to simulcast again on any streaming service that they feel like doing, I'm probably going to start streaming games on a weekly basis on YouTube now. So like every night I'm probably going to stream, like I'd say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, probably Thursday. I'll be streaming on YouTube some games at night. Starting with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We ain't found shit. Yeah. Oh, I cursed. It's too early. Lol, the script was effing hilarious. They put so much effort into a parody. Yeah, I would say Spaceballs has more effort put into it than the entire sequel trilogy of Star Wars. Because they did essentially with the sequels was all that parody. I mean all that continuity, all that lore, all those characters you loved in the original trilogy. Yeah, we're just gonna throw that all away and return them. We're gonna return Han Solo into being a terrible dad, into being a scoundrel again. Leia and him being separated, and Luke's on a freaking island, wanting to die. How even the first gag of the ship introduction being long as AF was funny. You know what? I'm gonna see if I can find. I'm gonna see if I can find that on here. Let's see. We can play that. We can probably play that on here. Just want to make sure I'm not getting anything on Streamlabs end, because I always miss something. I'm always missing something. See, like it hasn't even like. Oh, there it is. When the rebels jam, the systems, lol, literal jam. So yeah, we'll go ahead and watch this real quick. Even this person here, even this person here says, "I remember how everyone in the theater was laughing because the ship kept going and going." Let's see. I need to rewatch it myself. Wasn't the guy out of Police Academy there as well doing all the scanning noises? Oh, I think so. Man, we don't get movies like this no more. No, you couldn't, yes, sir, Jack. Shout out, Jack. Yep. Yeah, you couldn't make a movie like Spaceballs today. Just like you couldn't make Tropic Thunder today. These are movies you could never make today. People will get way too offended for over nothing. I mean, just recently, someone was like, "Oh, did you know the voice actress for Daisy in Super Mario Brothers Wonder is non-binary? Cry about it more." It's like, no one cares. You're the only one that cares. As long as they're doing their job right, no one gives a crap. I'll probably make a video on it later. I'll probably make a video on that, a video on Twitch reversing their simulcasting, and I think probably like one more video. But like, yeah, like people are silly, man. Jeez. The ship just keeps going and going and going. It goes for like a minute and a half. No, it's not even the offensive thing. Nobody seems to want to make a good old-fashioned spoof like anymore. True. Now it's reversed. Feels like the CGI to hire diverse actors in the silly woke script is a parody of itself. Or worse, they turn the movie into a spoof of itself. Holy shit. Yeah, it's still going. It goes for like a minute and a half based on this. Yeah, because this is supposed to be a parody on the fact that in the beginning of every Star Wars movie, the Star Destroyer takes so long to go past the beginning of the screen. That's what this is supposed to be a parody of. If anything, if Spaceballs is on Amazon, if Spaceballs is on Amazon, you could do a watch party on Twitch. That would be cool. My goodness, it's still going. One of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Yeah, I agree. Oh man, it's not on here. Yeah, Rick Moranis. This came out after. This funny thing is, this came out 4 years after Return of the Jedi came out. That's so funny. Oh, maybe it's just my VPN. Maybe it's just my VPN that I can't see it. If someone could check and see if this is on Prime, that'd be cool. We could do a watch party of this on Twitch. That'd be cool. You can't you can't miss that on a radar scan. Says Baby Chewbacca. It finally gets to the end, and then at the bottom it says, "We break for nobody." And Star Trek, it's a sonar scan. We break for nobody. Yeah, we break for nobody. Right. So great. Ludicrous speed. That seems like a cool thing here. Let's see. Surrounded by a-holes. Ludicrous speed. Your Schwartz is, or Schwartz is as big as mine. There it is. Your Schwartz is as big as mine. Oh yeah, they have that here too. There it is. That's so gross. Look at that. It's so gross. Pizza the Hut. Gross. Mia, you have it. Your Schwartz is as big as mine. Let's play it.
Not so fast, Lone Star.
Helmet.
His helmet.
So, at last we meet for the first time for the last time.
What?
Before you die,
What? Holy crap, they've gotten plaid. Moonar, merchandising. Spaceballs movie was free to watch on YouTube a couple years ago and not anymore. That sucks. Spaceballs the flamethrower.
there is something you should know about us, Lone Star.
What?
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
Oh my god. At last, we meet for the first time for the last time.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing, which is what you are about to become. Prepare to die.
What? The helmet is aggressively large. Yeah, that's the whole point of it. It's supposed to be large.
You have the ring. And I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
I cannot believe it. You could never get away with stuff like this.
Now let's see how well you handle it.
Still, he was a lightsaber. Still has better choreography than current Star Wars. It's funny that he has a green lightsaber though. He doesn't even have a red one. Oh. Get the crew, guys.
He did it.
Oh, it's a ring. It's a ring. I didn't even notice. It's a freaking ring. It's a ring. Oh, wow. It's all twisted up. I can't with this movie. It's so funny.
Shit! I hate it when I get my Schwartz twisted. Okay, maybe if I put my leg up on yours, you know, we can split apart like. Good, yeah. Right. On three. 1, 2, 3, go!
Like, it's not even a lightsaber. They're just rings. What the heck? Yeah, it's been a yeah. That's how long it's been since I've seen Spaceballs. Like, I don't even remember that they don't even have lightsabers. It's just rings. Oh my god. Come on, bro. Now watch Lone Star fall for the oldest trick in the evil playbook. Oh, the zipper thing. Oh, look over there. Wow. How long has it been since watching Spaceballs? Answer: much longer than the spaceship. You always got something witty to say, Chewbacca. I swear, it's great.
So, Lone Star, yogurt has taught you well.
Yogurt,
If there's one
yogurt,
thing I
yogurt has taught you well. Yogurt has taught you well.
despise, it is a fair fight. But if I must, then I must. May the best man win. Put her there. The ring! I can't believe you fell for the oldest trick in the book! What a goof! What's with you, man? Come on!
Pizza Hut looks gross.
You know what? Here, let me give it back to you. Oh! Oh, look at that! You fell for that too!
Look at that, you fell for that too. Oh man. Alright, Calm in the Desert. I got the radars jammed. Giving up the combination. Pizza the Hut. Oh, that looks so gross. Merchandising. Rescuing the princess. Okay, so I see 10, 6, 8, 1, 9, 3, 11, 7. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a 6. Okay, they're all here. All the clips are. He lost his Schwartz. Jesus. He lost his Schwartz. Yeah. I love how Rick Moranis has to yell because he's buried under that brain bucket. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. We could go with. Oh, God, it's gross. Let's go with Combing the Desert.
President Scrooge,
What is it?
I have an urgent message from Lord Helmet. He's lost the princess.
Where?
Lord Helmet.
Somewhere in the sands of Vega.
Tell him to comb the desert, do you hear me? Comb the desert!
Yes, sir.
Snotty beat me twice last night. It was wonderful, actually. Yeah, it's comb the desert. It's actual comb.
Sir? What?
It's an actual comb in the desert.
Are we being too literal?
No, you
Yes.
fool. We're following orders. We were told to comb the desert, so we're combing it.
Oh my God.
Found anything yet?
Oh, widow white women. Oh, by the way, LG, my GameStop decided to tell me that my Street Fighter 6 collectors is on back order, but they have picked one for me to ship out. That they do have one available for me, already picked out. Notice how the megaphone uses the megaphone close to the guy, then yells at the combers. Hold on.
Sir?
What?
Are we being too literal?
No, you fool. We're following orders. We were told to comb the desert, so we're combing it.
Found anything yet?
He really is though. It's really he really does yell at these guys, but then uses the megaphone to yell at the person right next to him. Oh my God, no. No way. The fact they made a big ass coma is beyond me. I love Star Wars original and Star Wars prequel sequel is garbage. 2, I like Kylo Ren and Finn. That's it. I stand with George Lucas. Hell yeah. What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken? That's OD. Yeah. So good.
Nothing yet, sir. How about you?
They have another one. They have more than one comb. They have 2 combs.
Not a thing, sir.
I wonder if there's a third one. Oh no. Oh nah. There's the LG one. That's the LG. They have a pick. They have a pick. They have a pick though. They have a pick. I'm dead.
What about you guys? We ain't found shit.
And a black tooth. We ain't found shit. And it's happened to be a black guy there. Oh my God. You cannot make this stuff today. You just can't. We ain't found shit. PS5 Venom from Spider-Man 2 was badass. Hell yeah. I don't have a PS5, so I couldn't tell you. We ain't found shit. That's so funny. Oh wait, hold on. There was another one right there. Wait. Where is it? That's the one he plays with the dolls. Never mind. 10 out of 10, yeah, in my opinion. Let's go with this one. And lucky for me, I have ad blocks. So I don't have to deal with ads either. There's the ship again, chasing a small ship.
Princess Vespa spaceship within range, sir.
Good. Fire a warning shot across her nose.
What's going on?
I guess it's supposed to be C-3PO. It's a freaking lady. What? It's a lady robot. See, this is how this is how you do it. Take notes, Disney. Come on. Oh my god. I can't.
It's either the 4th of July or someone's trying to kill us.
The space bun headphones. Oh no.
Hey, I don't have to put up with this. I'm rich.
I don't have to put up with this. I'm rich. Oh my god. Cute C-3PO and detractors. I'm dead.
What are you doing? I'm calling my father. 1-800-THRUID. Yeah.
Careful, you idiot. I said across her nose, not up it.
Sorry, sir. Doing my best.
He's cross-eyed. He can't shoot right. He's cross-eyed. And it's probably why the stormtroopers are bad at firing too, because they're probably cross-eyed as well.
Who made that man a gunner?
I did, sir. He's my cousin.
Who is he?
What?
He's an asshole, sir.
I know that. What's his name?
That is his name, sir. Asshole. Major asshole.
Major asshole. His name is Major Asshole. Oh, I can't, man.
And his cousin?
He's an asshole too, sir. Gunner's mate, first class, Philip Asshole.
How many assholes we got on this ship anyhow?
Yo!
No shit.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Keep firing, assholes!
Keep firing.
Hurry, Daddy.
Why does the guy wear the Vader helmet? It's all a joke. It's all a parody. That's why. It's so funny.
Hurry. There are laser blasts all around us. I'm scared.
King Roland to Lone Star! King Roland to Lone Star! Are you there? Lone Star, you've got to help me. Please, save my daughter. She's
Lone
being
Star.
attacked by spaceballs. Spaceballs? Forget
There's Lone Star
it. Too
and
dangerous.
Barf.
Besides, I'm
Lone
already
Star and
numero
Barf.
uno on Dark Helmet's hit list.
Look, Your Highness, it's not that we're afraid. Far from it. It's just that we got this thing about death. It's not us.
Please, you must. You're the only ones that can save her. I'll give you anything. Did you hear me? Anything.
Anything?
Yes, anything. Okay, we'll do it for $1 million. $1 million?
Oh, you're starting to fade here. We're losing picture, Your Highness.
All right, I'll pay it. Only find her, save her. All right, King, you just made a deal.
The mouth of a helmet is a shower drain, and early in the morning when he drinks coffee through the helmet, it makes a shower drain sound. These guys knew how to laugh at themselves back in the day. Yeah, this movie was made in 1987, 4 years after Return of the Jedi released in theaters. Early in the morning, early in the movie. Yeah, Shadowjack. This movie was released in 1987, 4 years after Return of the Jedi came out. Which, by the way, this year is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. For anyone who wants to feel old, this year is the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, which would make in 2 more years, it will be the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith. Yes. 2 years from now, it will be 20 years of Revenge of the Sith. Yeah.
Princess for 1 million space bucks.
What's she driving? A brand new white Mercedes 2001 SEL limited edition, moonroof, all
Too much
leather interior.
Spaceballs.
I got it at a very good price. I paid cash. My cousin Prince Murray has a dealership in the valley. He was very
I thought we could watch this. Oh, Spaceballs? Yeah. I checked to see. I wanted to see if Spaceballs was on Amazon Prime, because I know if you have Twitch Prime and you could do watch parties on Twitch, that would be cool. That'd be hilarious. I could do a watch party on Twitch.
nice to me.
We get the idea. Where was she last seen?
She was just passing Jupiter too.
We'll find her.
Please bring her back safely.
Their clips
It's all
seems like fair
possible.
use.
Try to save the car.
Yeah, they are clips
1 million
that are
space
on
bucks.
YouTube.
We'll be able to pay off Pizza the Hut.
Give me paw.
Yeah, Pizza the Hut looks gross. I guess we really are surrounded by assholes. I'd laugh if it weren't so true. Now I feel bad as just talking about Spaceballs for a bit. No, people seem to be enjoying it. Well, now we gotta go back to doing that to people's house. That's not against TOS. Well, apparently it is, but I know I saw about that. Don't feel bad. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it just makes the stream a little longer, and it's funny to watch. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching the clips. They're great. So you could watch them. We got like 11 clips you can watch. Ludicrous speed.
Prepare to attack.
Prepare to attack.
On the count of 3. 1, 2. Wait!
What happened? Where are they? I don't know, sir. They must have hyper tits on that thing.
And what do we got on
Hyper
this thing?
tits.
Cuisinart?
No, sir.
We'll find them, catch them.
YouTube can't handle the Schwartz's baby Chewbacca.
Yes, sir. Prepare ship for light speed.
No, light speed is too slow.
Light speed too slow?
Yes, we're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed.
Sir, we've never gone that fast before. I don't know if the ship can take it.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
Prepare ship! Prepare ship for ludicrous speed. Fasten all seatbelts. Seal all entrances and exits. Close all shops in the mall. Cancel the free-range circus. Secure all animals in the zoo.
Give me that, you petty excuse.
YouTube literally jammed us. They jammed us, sir. YouTube literally jammed us with Strawberry.
For an officer. Now hear this. Ludicrous
What's
speed.
up, Ann? How's
Sir,
it
and you
going?
better buckle up.
Now buckle this. Ludicrous speed.
How's it going, Ann? Welcome in, channel member. It's funny they made Vader so short, too. Light speed. Ridiculous speed. Ludicrous speed.
What have I done? My brains are going into my feet.
What the hell was that?
Spaceball 1.
They've gone to Plaid.
We passed them. Stop.
Raspberry. There's only one person who could give me raspberries. Lone Star. The Dr. People's houses is okay. Shake my head. Apparently, according to YouTube, I'm not okay with that at all. I thought that was just ridiculous.
This thing.
We can't stop. It's too dangerous. We've got to slow down first.
Bullshit. Just stop this thing. I order you. Stop.
Fine. How have you been?
Fine, sir.
Good.
It's a good thing you were wearing that helmet.
Yeah.
What should we do now, sir?
Well, are we stopped?
We're stopped, sir.
Good. Well, why don't we take a 5-minute break?
Very good, sir.
Smoke if you got 'em.
It's Pizza the Hut. Ugh. Come on, attention, it's fun police. Come out of your happy place with your hands up. You're having too much fun. It's legal. Was it me? Was the one armed man? This is a first for me. Can he get the stream back on? Huh? Something wrong with stream? Oh, yeah. Holy crap. Yeah. Oh, it looks like the looks like yeah, we're having too much fun. Looks like we're having too much fun. I didn't even know this. Let's see. Yep. So that was it. It was the, am I back? Am I back? Let me know. Am I back? It says my stream is no longer blocked. Yeah, it looks like we're having too much fun watching clips of Spaceballs here. That's the first time I've ever seen that. That's the first time I've ever seen that. We were just having too much fun. Having way too much fun watching Spaceballs. That's a bummer. Algiers right. No, we don't do that here. Never that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yep, I am back. It says it in here. Stream is no longer being blocked due to copyright issues. Really, YouTube really just said, did I just catch you having fun? What you could do is just audio only. Yeah, I might have to do that. And I'm gonna have to cut those sections. I guess I'm gonna have to just cut that section out of the live stream too. That sucks. I have to cut all those sections out of the live stream now. That's a bummer. Oh. As it says, excellent connection. Well, I guess we can watch some trailers, I guess, for Star Wars stuff. Star Wars games, maybe. On with the show. Oh, sorry about that. I suggested talking about Spaceballs for a bit, so I guess that's on me. Nah, it's cool. Like I said, I was trying to essentially, just add some more to the stream because the stream would have ended in like an hour because I already went through everything I wanted to go through essentially. It's all good. because I don't really, like I said, if I wanted to talk about like negative stuff, I want to talk about the positives of Star Wars, not the negatives of Star Wars. And I've kind of already covered that stuff. It's kind of the whole point of the live stream. And Spaceballs just happened to be a little bit of positive in the realm of Star Wars because it took what Star Wars was and made it into a parody and made it funny, made it good, made a good parody of what Star Wars is. So I'm cool with that. I'm gonna upload a short later on. Probably gonna upload a short after this live stream is done, which might be pretty soon. Like I typically don't want these live streams to go more than 3 hours, but my live stream with Final Fantasy went almost 6 hours. So yeah, like I said, there's not much more for me to talk about 'cause, like I said, that was kind of the highlight of the stream was the whole Spaceballs thing. So yeah, I guess to wrap it up, you know, I guess to wrap it all up, the sequel trilogy is not Star Wars. The original trilogy is the best trilogy of Star Wars, although my favorite trilogy is probably Lord of the Rings. And if I had to recommend the games again, like I said, it would be KOTOR, KOTOR 2, Republic Commando, Force Unleashed 1. Force Unleashed 2 is okay, is decent, but Force Unleashed 1 is the best one, better one. I believe Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor are both good games. Jedi Survivor takes what you get in Jedi Fallen Order and brings it into the next game. I think it has a great story, great single player game, no microtransactions, nothing like that. That's probably the best recent Star Wars game that you're gonna get. I would put Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor above both Battlefront games from EA, especially, and Squadrons. Great single player games if that's what you're looking for in a Star Wars game. And you don't really need to know too much about Star Wars to jump into those games. That's another great thing about Fallen Order and Survivor. I'm probably gonna be playing. Well, I'm gonna be playing more Wonder on Monday on live stream. I know that Twitch now is changed that you can simulcast now. You can simulcast to YouTube and other streaming services now because they changed that thing back. They changed it again. So I'm about to play, I think, in a little bit. So thank you all for coming by. I really do appreciate you all for coming. Next episode of Nostalgia Bait will be episode 3, happening not this coming up Saturday, but the following Saturday. That will be on Cowboy Bebop, talking about Cowboy Bebop and all that good stuff. So I do appreciate it. Just send me your friend code on Discord. Of course, as always, hit the like button if you did enjoy the stream. If you want to go above and beyond, you can always be a channel member with the join button down below. For $1 a month, you'll get access to emotes, badges in the streams, shout outs and videos, things like that. So I do appreciate everyone for coming by. And I'll see you all in 2 weekends for episode 3 of Nostalgia Bait, Cowboy Bebop. Peace out.